You chose the wrong side.
Welcome to Durbania. I'm Durbin, and this is my spoiler-free review for Captain America Civil War. So in this review, there will be no spoilers. You can watch this safely. If you have seen the movie and you want some spoiler talk, Saturday, Rapthorn and I will be spoiler talking this movie. So you'll have that then. This is the spoiler-free review right now. The movie was amazing. That's just how I'm going to start this. I mean, yeah, it's beyond worth seeing. It is amazing. It is everything Batman vs. Superman wanted to be, but never got to. I mean, and I say that with a little pain in my heart because I love Batman and I love Superman, but this movie was just absolutely amazing. First off, all the characters were amazing, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time there because these characters are established. We've seen them in the Avenger movies and all the other movies and solo movies and all that. We know these characters. So if there's a character you didn't like in a movie, you might not like them again in this one because, you know, we know them. If you loved all of them, then, hey, you're going to love all of them. I happen to love all of them. I loved all of them. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time there except on these two characters, Black Panther and Spider-Man, because these are the new ones that get introduced to the Avengers, and it was just awesome the way that they did it. Because we got a Black Panther origin story. I mean, as much as you could do a Black Panther origin story because, you know, I mean, it's a whole entire nation, and the Black Panther's like the king. But anyway, the way that they did it was just really well. The way they wrote it into the story, the way they introduced us to him, it just felt so natural. It didn't feel like it was shoved in there or crammed in there or jammed in there. It really flowed perfectly with the story. And he was just a great character. Well acted, the whole thing was just so well done. And Black Panther, one of my favorite characters, so I was super excited to see this guy on the big screen. And then, of course, we have Spider-Man. Now, when I did my trailer talk, I talked about his costume and how it bugged me. Bugged. Spider-Man. I gotta say, in context of the movie, it really didn't bother me as much. I mean, yeah, it's not my favorite Spider-Man costume I've seen Spider-Man wearing, but I don't care. Honestly, the character of Spider-Man was absolutely amazing. I wasn't even thinking about his outfit. I was just like, Spider-Man's in this movie! But I loved what they did with Peter Parker in this movie. He's the Peter Parker that we know and love. If you are a Spider-Man fan and you know the character of Peter Parker, then there it is. And no, this is not a Spider-Man origin story by any stretch of the imagination, and we didn't need it. We got all the background we needed, plus, you know, we have all those, like, other Spider-Man movies. We know his origin. So it was just really cool to bring him in. And the way, again, the writing and bringing him in. I did have a little concern throwing in Black Panther, Spider-Man, and all these different elements. It's like, well, what if this becomes too much? I wasn't super nervous about that, but it was still somewhere in the back of my mind. Not there anymore. The way they brought Spider-Man into this story just fit. And he's only in this for a short time, but it's a fantastic short time. But it made me excited for a Spider-Man solo film. The story in this movie was absolutely engaging. And you get the idea of the story from the trailer. We see you have the Sokovia Accord, and this basically takes freedom away from the Avengers, and now basically they have to answer to the United Nations, and they have to do what they say. Not making their own decisions, but listening to the decisions of a committee, which, as you can guess, that doesn't bode well for Captain America. But Iron Man, I feel like what they did interesting with his character in this thing that was different than others as you're watching Tony Stark kind of grow and change. I feel like Tony Stark was overcompensating because Ultron was kind of a huge mistake. And he's just, I feel like he doesn't trust himself. They don't say that in this movie. It's an impression that I get. And it just looks like that's something that he wants. He wants that assurance that they are accountable and something to answer to. So you know what? I actually understood his side of it. And I understood Captain America's side of it. Clearly, I'm Team Captain America. I'm a little biased. So as I'm watching this movie, I'm thinking the goal of Steve Rogers is a noble goal. And it wasn't just the Sokovia Accord. I'm not going to blow anything. But there was something else that Steve Rogers was going for. And I thought it was a good plan for him to go for it. But every step he took, Iron Man was there to block it. So honestly, I thought Iron Man was kind of a jerk in this movie. I got really mad at Iron Man. But not in that bad way. I have still left this movie loving Iron Man. Can't wait to see Iron Man return with Avengers and stuff like that, and Avengers 3 Part 1 and Part 2, Infinity Wars, all that stuff. I have come out of this still liking Iron Man. He is a great character. It was just really interesting what they did with his character and how he just continuously became this blockade in Steve Rogers' way. It, to me, was just incredibly interesting. The other great thing about this movie, it wasn't too dark, it wasn't too light. Of all the Marvel movies, this one was certainly the darkest. Nowhere near the level of dark as Batman v Superman. Nowhere near that level. This movie had those moments where it didn't take itself that seriously. And because of that, you're like, this is great. Then when it took itself seriously, you were engaged with it. Like when it got serious, when it got intense, it got intense. I mean, it just had that great balance of the Marvel humor and the Marvel light with this serious tone that they were doing underneath. I thought it was really well done. In fact, this movie was so well done, my negatives are nitpicks. That's it. They're nitpicks. For instance, whenever they would go to a new city, instead of just popping up somewhere in the bottom of the screen, it would just be all caps and huge and take up the entire screen like yelling at you, "We're at this city!" Thank you. They did that a lot in the beginning. They eased off towards the end. The other thing they did a lot in the beginning and eased off towards the end was shaky cam. Personally, I'm not a fan of shaky cam, but the shaky cam in this movie was not bad like Transformers bad where you can't see what's going on. It was just they tracked with the characters. You could see what character they were on. You could still make out the awesome action moves that they're doing and things like that, but, you know, it still did the shaky thing a little, and that's not always my favorite, but see, that's how good this movie was. That those negatives are nothing. I mean, they're seriously nothing. They're just teeny tiny nitpicks. I'm going to give this movie 5 stars out of 5. 5 stars. I will see it multiple more times in the theaters. I will buy that thing when it comes out on Blu-ray. It was an amazing movie. I really enjoyed it beginning to end. Who is your favorite Marvel hero in Captain America Civil War? Make sure to let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for liking, commenting, and subscribing. I'm Durbin. Thanks for checking out Durbania.